Since day one here in Ring of Honor, too young to compete in the initial Ring of Honor event in Philadelphia.
Welcome back, WWE fans. Pro Wrestling Insider in the house with your daily dose of matches, highlights, and news. Ring that bell and let's roll. The night opened with tension thick enough to cut with a knife. The AEW TNT Championship wasn't just on the line. It was wrapped inside a stipulation that carried real consequences. If Kyle Fletcher pulled out the victory, Mark Briscoe would be forced into the ranks of the Don Callis family, a faction known for manipulation and control. The stakes transformed what could have been a standard title bout into something far more personal. Briscoe walked into the arena with the weight of his pride, independence, and career direction pressing on his shoulders, while Fletcher entered with the quiet confidence of a champion determined to keep his grip on the gold. Before the bell even rang, there was an energy in the crowd that signalled something intense was about to unfold, something that would define both men in ways no simple win or loss ever could. Chaos at the opening bell. From the moment the bell rang, Mark Briscoe exploded into action. He fought like a man who knew he couldn't afford hesitation. Not tonight. Not with everything at stake. His early aggression wasn't reckless as much as it was emotional, fueled by the fear of what losing could mean. Steel steps rattled, ringside barriers shook, and the battle spilled everywhere it could. Fletcher answered with a completely different energy, colder, more calculated, making every move feel like it was part of a measured strategy. When he countered Briscoe's rush with a crushing brainbuster onto a chair, the match shifted in tone. Suddenly, it wasn't just Briscoe fighting for freedom. It was Fletcher proving that he wasn't champion by accident. The crowd sensed the shift, and the match settled into a rhythm that promised this wouldn't be a one-sided beating, but a true test of will. The Callis influence. Looming over everything was Don Callis at ringside, pacing like a director watching his play unfold. His voice cut through the arena, trying to guide Fletcher, trying to pull the strings, trying to keep control of the match and the narrative. His presence alone added a layer of pressure for Briscoe. Losing would mean dealing with that voice not just tonight, but every night going forward. It was clear that Callis' strategy was to manipulate the environment, push Fletcher into using whatever means necessary, and take the match into territory where chaos would favour the champ. As tables and ladders began to find their place around the ring, the battle became a reflection of Callis' influence. Messy, unpredictable, and constantly threatening to crush Briscoe's hopes. Momentum swings and rising tension. At one point, Fletcher seemed fully in control. He manoeuvred around the chaos with purpose, showing a champion's awareness and an understanding of how to use the environment to his advantage. When he dodged Briscoe's cannonball, sending Briscoe crashing hard into a setup of furniture, the crowd roared, not just in shock, but because it felt like things were nearing a turning point. But Briscoe didn't crumble. Even as fatigue set in, he fired back with a missile dropkick that caught Fletcher off guard and shifted the tone yet again. That strike wasn't just an offensive move. It was the signal that Briscoe wasn't leaving quietly. He reminded the arena, and Fletcher, that he had more heart than most men in that ring could ever claim. Deepening desperation. As the match continued, the desperation rose. Briscoe fought with a fire fueled by pride, while Fletcher pushed himself to maintain control amid Callis' presence and the chaotic setup surrounding the ring. The match dipped into its most unpredictable phase when both competitors introduced elements that raised the stakes not in brutality but in risk. Barbed wire tables, ladders stretching toward the lights, and precarious positions atop unstable setups brought the match into territory where one wrong move could end the night entirely. Fletcher, trying to keep Briscoe under control, used every opening he could find, but each time Briscoe responded, the champion found himself forced deeper into survival mode rather than calculated offense. the interference that changed everything. As the climax built, Don Callis made his move, attempting once again to tilt the match in Fletcher's favour. But sometimes interference creates more chaos than control. His timing misfired, creating just enough distraction and miscommunication to give Briscoe the opening he desperately needed. Rising through exhaustion, Briscoe climbed the ladder and delivered a breathtaking froggy bow from high above, crashing through Fletcher and the table beneath them. The arena erupted, believing it was over. Fletcher, though, kicked out with what looked like pure instinct, refusing to surrender the title he had fought so hard to keep. That moment captured the spirit of the match. Two men, battered but unbroken, refusing to let the story end until they had given every last piece of themselves. The final statement. But every match has its closing chapter, and Briscoe wrote this one with absolute authority. With the crowd on their feet, he gathered whatever energy remained in his body and lifted Fletcher for the BT bomb, sending him crashing through the barbed wire-wrapped table. It was a symbolic moment more than a violent one. Briscoe breaking through the barriers that had been placed around him all night long. As Fletcher struggled to rise, Briscoe followed up with the J-Driller, a move that has ended countless wars in his career, and this was no different. The referee's hand hit the mat for the third time, and the arena exploded in relief, celebration, and disbelief. Mark Briscoe stood tall, his hand raised, the TNT Championship finally in his possession. He didn't just win a match, he reclaimed his narrative, refused outside control, and proved that passion could outfight pressure. The aftermath and what comes next. As Briscoe held the championship high, it was clear this moment represented more than a title change. It felt like a rebirth, a statement that he couldn't be bent or broken by intimidation or manipulation. The Don Callis family didn't just suffer a loss, they lost the sense of control they had tried to exert over Briscoe's fate. And for Fletcher, the night became a story of resilience despite defeat, a reminder of how thin the line between dominance and desperation can be. The fallout from this match will undoubtedly ripple through AEW, affecting alliances, rivalries, and the direction of the TNT Championship itself. Briscoe's warning has been delivered loud and undeniable. Anyone who tries to control him, underestimate him, or define his future will find themselves standing across from a man who refuses to be held down.